Hi, everybody. Welcome to the January 2020 Supper Club. We're working on the theme of faith in the 21st century here at Montview for Supper Clubs for this season. And this month, we're going to watch a video. Megan Phelps Roper is her last name?
Yep. Megan Phelps is the daughter of Fred Phelps, the notorious pastor of Westboro Baptist Church. Westboro became a well-known church when they picketed the Matthew Shepard funeral, and since then Westboro is notorious for picketing and
demonizing groups to the extreme.
Yes,
it really is hard to watch what they do. Right? Right.
So Megan was raised in that church and really bought into all of the convictions and teachings of their ideology, but since then has left that church, and she shares in her TED Talk what helped her look at herself and her beliefs and then leave that way of thinking.
So it's a great video, so if you haven't watched it, watch it now. Clover, what's something that struck you, just even something?
Yeah, something simple, but I thought was powerful was Megan talking about Twitter was the place that she started engaging with people from a different belief system that allowed her to think through her beliefs. And so I love that social media was shown to be a positive host site for thinking differently and helping her do that.
Right, and even creating some space there. You can step away instead of in that face-to-face kind of conversation. It can get tough.
Right.
So it was
so
great.
It allows
really
them.
Smart.
Yeah. What about you?
I think here's Megan, who grows up in a situation that's really extreme, and she's now out of that fishbowl, and for her to look at our world, and particularly our country and our culture and our politics, and say, this looks very similar to what I've lived. These are the themes that I've seen of demonizing others, of allowing no space for conversation. Right. That's a sobering thought.
Yeah.
So,
At the end of the TED Talk, Megan lists 4 lessons that she learned from people who were gracious in helping her come out of that way of looking at life and living. And the first one was not to assume malicious intention. So don't assume that others have a malicious intention, which says we're all different. We all have different ideologies. We have different life experiences and theology and views of the Bible. And so behind a person's belief system is a certain life that they've had, and they've come to that. So to get to that, and behind that is asking questions of one another, that we get to that understanding of who we are and the convictions we hold by having someone ask questions and listen to us.
To really honor that somebody has a different, came to it honestly and has a different position than you, and they're not just trying to be mean to you.
Yes, or to others.
I think we all get it here, but I know I go right in as soon as I'm with someone. All of a sudden, how can you possibly hold that position? Which she gets at in the other points she makes. The third one is to stay calm.
And be kind.
Calm. To be in that space where you're not reactive and you're not upping the ante, right? You're not making this, raising the stakes, because that's not going to end well. Easier said than done, of course, but if you really are sincere and authentic in wanting to hear somebody, you have to learn that practice, right? And then the last one I thought really struck me as helpful. It's so obvious in some ways. She says, and make your argument. And I'm so guilty of this, where she said, it's not obvious to the other person why you believe what you believe. And I think, but it is. It's so obvious, right? That you should be able to see this. I don't make the same assumption about, their argument isn't obvious to me, but I think mine ought to be to them.
Right. So it's a real challenge to actually be clear about what you think and why you think it.
Well, that's the thing. Once you actually have to, if you really practice that, you realize, I don't know as well as I thought I did why I believed what I did. And maybe it was more of an emotional thing, or I grew up in that kind of house. It really clarifies and points out the weaknesses in your argument. which is okay. That's a good thing,
Yeah.
not a bad thing.
And she's such a great model of that. She models how she unpacked
Right.
her argument
Yeah.
and how it didn't hold up.
Right.
Right. So we have 3 questions for you to engage in your conversation around the table after you watch the TED Talk. What stood out for you in Megan's story? So something that stood out. Maybe that's a simple way to start.
And then just go through those 4 points that she learned, and just think about what was most helpful for you, and just kind of discuss those.
Yep.
They're all helpful.
And think about, in what ways do our convictions, especially when they get rigid, do our convictions become burdens to ourselves, or they trap us because we can't hear something else and they become oppressive to ourselves?
I think it's easy to see that in others, like Westboro. Right? You watch
Yeah.
them and say, "Oh gosh, they're so trapped in
Horrible.
this
Yeah,
in this viewpoint," and it's harder for us to see. My convictions don't trap me,
Right,
but they
right.
do.
Yep.
And can we gain a little fluidity, a little flexibility?
Yeah. I loved this
It's a great-
TED
yeah,
Talk,
she's
so
great.
we hope
Yeah.
you do too. Have a good evening.
Thanks.